what they expect on this day. Just one minute. Watu wajuane kidogo tu, just shake hands, stand up, shake hands, know someone, ask them how they slept, how the week has been. Even the online, you can use the chat, tell us who is online, tell us what you expect for today. Use the chat, use your virtual hand. Someone will be attending to you. And if you're still outside, if you hear my voice, please come in. The room is looking lively. Karibuni, karibuni. Yeah. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Have a nice place to sit. If you're having breakfast, you can still come and finish from inside. Okay. Amazing. So just a few housekeeping before I introduce myself. Our ladies and gents are right behind here. So you can see the doors just right behind on my back. Feel free if you need to use them. In terms of the, just the layout of the place, the side on my left, that is where we'll be using for all our meals. Victor, where is Victor? Victor from ISA will be our main go-to person in case you need any assistance. That is our main person. We have our speakers here and we'll meet them as they come. Now, because of time, because we were supposed to start at 9, all our questions and answers will direct them to slido.com. So I want to just walk you through a very small, simple process. If you have your phones, just go to Google and then open slido.com. Just try it. Let's try it, all of us. Slido.com. And then the code that we are using is 222-333. I just want to start to do a demo with someone. Susan, have you managed? Slido.com. It's where we'll be posting all our questions on. Just go to Google, then go slido.com, open it. It's very simple. Then there'll be a place for a code. So if our code for today is 222-333, click enter, and then it will take you to the homepage where you'll just simply type your question as any of the speakers will be on, and then we will consolidate those questions and ask them once they come out of stage so that we can manage time. Okay? I hope we managed to navigate that. Let me just see if someone got it. 222-333, and you're in the question, the homepage. Sandra, did you get it? Slido.com. Okay, okay. Just one person who got it? Thank you. Okay, so that's where we'll be using to direct all our questions. Okay, so without further ado, I'd like us to start the program for today. So we're excited about today, and this half-year review has a theme. Yeah, did we see the theme somewhere? It is what happened, what matters, and what's next. Can we say that together? What happened, what matters, and what's next. So we've done the half-year review, the first year review in February. Now this is the half-year review. We just want to see what has been going on between February and now, and what are the trends that we need to look out for. We are bringing together senior marketing and communication leaders to reflect some of those defining moments that the first half year has explored, and what the future of the industry is. And we have amazing speakers, as I have mentioned. We are going to meet each and every one of them when their time comes. Now, before we start, I would like our host, Susan Macau, to come on stage, even as I read her profile. Again, we know Susan, someone that we admire in the industry. She has over 25 years of experience across agency leadership, entrepreneurship, and policy. She is the co-founder of ISA and dedicated to developing future-ready marketing talent across Africa. She's also the vice chair at Advertising Practitioners Association of Kenya, and also has a strong focus on marketing, education, policy, innovation, and sustainable industry growth. Again, she's been organizing us for the past many years. Let's give her a hand of applause, even as she comes to open the session. Karibu, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. That's my namesake. And I don't know whether you introduced yourself. Let me introduce Susan. Although she has a very long title, I can't remember it. I know she's with Havas. She's regional account director, media director. I don't know, some big name, but karibu sana, and thank you so much for emceeing the event. She also happens to be one of our trainers, and she trains in media investment at ISA. So yeah, so we're here again. You probably are wondering, why have we moved from a big hotel to Tuwork, which is really a really nice place, by the way. And we thank Victor and the hosts for having us here today. So the half-year review is actually a smaller event than the full-year review. I guess maybe it's just because it's a half year, but still very important. Actually, we have not had the half year review now for 2 years. But this time we decided we need to have it because it's important. It's important that we are keeping you abreast. Let's not lose the momentum and only do this once in a year. And there's a lot also that has happened over the first half year of this year. So pleasure to have you all here today. So what's really the idea behind this? It's really just to give us a moment to stop, to look, to reflect, and ask ourselves the question: what matters? What happened? And what should we do? Okay? And that's why we have that as our theme. What happened, what matters, and what is next. Okay? So obviously we'll start with what happened. And we have our usual knowledge partners who have walked with us this journey all these years. And I'm glad to just mention them and what they will be talking about. Just a highlight on what they'll be talking about. So, of course, the first will be Francis Gashagwa, who's the CEO of OnePulse, who will be presenting to us the consumer card, consumer report card. Always a very good pleasure to have you. Always surprises us, always makes us happy, always challenging us. And we are really excited to hear what you have to tell us today. And then we have Barnabas from Ipsos. Ipsos goes a bit deeper into just telling us a little bit about the consumer behavior. What has research told us about any shifts that have occurred over the first year? Also just just giving us a bit more market intelligence, the data that we need to be able to make decisions. And then we'll have Haron Moshai from Real Analytics, Karibu Sana again. Always looking forward to your report, where we then get to know what happened as far as media is concerned. What channels were consumed, what our audience is telling us, where were they engaged, what delivered as far as media is concerned, really helping you with making your media investments. And then after that, we are going to have Simaloy from Nation. I don't know how many of you watch Fixing the Nation. So Fixing the Nation, as you know, is a relatively new product in the marketplace. She's calling it a case study. So I don't know what she wants to say. Let us just hear what she's saying. But all I do know is that Fixing the Nation was a very innovative idea. One program that you can watch across channels, across mediums simultaneously. And let's see just what's happening around that. And then we'll have John. I don't know whether it's going to be John or whether it's going to be Franklin from GeoPoll, because I've not seen John, but Franklin is here. It's going to be Franklin? Okay, so Franklin will be taking us through his presentation from GeoPoll. Last time he had an amazing presentation on gaming. He gave us very interesting insights around that. But his focus this time, he wants to talk about just other things. He said he'll talk about other things. So we are looking forward to see what he'll say around that. And then we are also going to have a newcomer, Joe. Joe, I just associate him with Saracen, but now he's with Evido. I struggle, I call you Joe Saracen. That's how I've saved you on my phone. That's your name, as far as I'm concerned. So this is an identity crisis for me. But when I spoke to Joe about coming today, what struck me about what he said is that he's going to teach people about TikTok. So you guys don't know how you're supposed to be using TikTok. So Joe is here to tell us about TikTok. How can you use it? How can you optimize it? Because he just has a space where he feels we're not using TikTok the way we should. All right. And then we'll get into the work. That's going to be the data. Then we'll get into the amazing work, the exciting okay, let me not say exciting part, but more exciting. This is always creative output is always more exciting than the data itself. Yeah. Yeah, so we are going to have Eve from Digital, from Belva Digital. So apparently Belva Digital have this product called Belva OS. And it happened to win an award at the Cannes in the AI and Tech Hackathon. Quite an amazing achievement they did. And she'll be taking us through that platform. So let us see what that is all about. Then we're going to have Max Ngare, who is the Executive Creative Director of Dentsu. And they also won an award at the Pitcher Awards earlier this year, as well as Yash Deb from The Bar. The Bar is also a relatively new agency that he set up together with his partner, and they will be taking us through basically the thinking behind the work and that recognition, as well as just making us understand the ideas that stood out and also what we can learn from that. Then we're also going to have Bharat Tavares, who I always make fun of because I started working with him when he was a little young man. And now he has white hair. So, wow, that tells us something. But anyway, he was recognized as the Creative Director of the Year at the Digital Media Awards just last year. And he's doing some very interesting stuff with Tandem. If you know the Tandem network, they are primarily a social impact agency. And so he'll be telling us how they're using creativity for impact. And then they're going to be moderated by Carolyne Kendi, who will also be joining us later on. I think her APA is here. Thank you. And she's the author of Brand Brilliance. You've probably seen or heard of Brand Brilliance. And I think that would be a very fitting way to connect creative work with a bigger question of how to build brands. So yes, of course, at every stage, both speakers and panelists will be taking us through not just what happened, but where are the opportunities, where should we be paying attention, and really what matters, what should we be doing differently. So I hope that we leave with better questions, sharper perspectives, and a few new ideas on how we can then go back and do our business. Karibu sana to our speakers. Thank you very much. Let's start with Francis.
Okay, let's give Susan a round of applause, please. Karibu sana. Thank you so much. So we start with Francis. Francis Gashagwa is no stranger to us. Strategic marketing leader, entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience across tourism, aviation, FMCG, and financial services. And he combines his consumer insight data and bold strategy to build brands and unlock growth across Africa. And as the chairman of the Kenya Tourism Board, he champions sustainable tourism, market diversification, innovative partnerships to strengthen Kenya's global competitiveness. I hope I did justice to that introduction. Karibu sana. We are looking forward to your presentation. Let's give him a round as he comes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Susan and Madam MC. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be among friends. And for Susan, thank you for bringing us to this venue. I don't know how many have been here before. For me, it's the first time. So, Susan, thank you for opening this part of town to some of us. Good. So, I'll be taking you through the consumer report card. And Susan said that it's a very small event. It's even smaller in time. I only got some 15 minutes, which I hope will be enough to give justice to what we have to present to you. So the outline has already been given. We'll be looking at what happened, what mattered, and take a quick glimpse at what's next. Please go to the next slide. Yeah, so a very quick look at the consumer landscape, the products that came up, the culture that we see evolving, and how the new rituals are shaping up, and how all these is tying up to the brands that we all consume. Please move on. All right. This is where it starts. So the first thing that we saw is that the innovation wave has hit most shelves. And we've seen quite a number of launches, category refreshes, landing across food drinks. And it's a sign that brands are racing to catch up with consumers. Let me just highlight a few. Del Monte came up with lemonade. They also launched a new energy drink. And this is quite significant because Del Monte, for the longest, has been a producer of juices on Tetra Packs. We all know that, yeah? Si tunazijua? Right. Now they came up with the lemonade, and they have also gotten into a very dense market segment with the energy drinks. Remember this segment we started seeing last year, the plastic bottle getting into the space. So they have gotten into that now, and we've seen flavors. You guys, your taste buds are growing. Yeah, we've seen Aquamist now going into pineapple, going into all other flavors. Of course, we can't forget our nice man of ice. These ladies are smiling. Come on, yes, that's your drink. I know. So this tells you that consumers are shifting and brands are running after them. Should I talk about this? Simnajua blackish. You've seen the conversations which are going on. I don't want to get into that because that's a space that you are all aware of. Let's move on. So Jabba has come up with the Jabba tea. And remember Jabba last year, they're in the periphery. I don't want to talk about it right now because they have some much bigger space in the coming slides. I think the only thing here is that this brand is targeted at ladies, and it tells you something. Jabba is now looking for relevance. They want to be consumed throughout the day as a hot drink, as a cold drink. Take it at home, take it in the office, let it be part of your life. Let's move on. Yes. I don't know how many of you witnessed this. DKT last week launched the first black condom. It's called Kiss Black. And at OnePulse Africa, we are very proud of this innovation because we provided the insights that gave birth to this. And it's coming in with new offers, and I have it in my pocket. And I'm offering this away. Nipeane wapi? Ama nifanye hivi? Honestly, I'm giving this one out. Who wants to try this? Yes. Susan, usiangalie. Susan, don't look. Thank you. Those ones have gone. Yeah, so OnePulse Africa was behind that innovation, and we hope that this brand is going to ride the skies. Let's move on. Let's move on. Good. I think we had a quick look at the consciousness that has now gripped the market. Consumers are getting more and more health conscious. I just want to highlight, this is important. I want to highlight some, I know you can't read this, but I want to highlight what we've seen around weight management. We've seen usage of GLP-1 medications, Mounjaro and Ozempic, mostly for weight management. Yeah? Does that ring a bell for you? Yes. We know at home we are experimenting with all sorts of concoctions, from kefir milk to kombucha and other wellness drinks. And we've also seen liquid IV and electrolyte products, again, gaining quite a high usage. And of course, we can't forget that we are all now looking for low sugar, no added sugar, all those things. All right. So this is quite an interesting area. But the thing is this, this could be what it is, but what are brands doing to move with this wave? Right? Let's move on. What we've realized is that this health consciousness is being pushed a lot by influencers. We've seen Serena. I don't know why this is there. Yeah, we've seen Serena taking this one up, and we have again noticed that besides this, what happens in the US, what happens in Western markets takes a very short time to turn around into this market. So it starts there, and within a very short time, we are seeing it here. So the local brands have some mileage to close there in terms of getting that relevance moving up. Let's move on. Good. A very quick look at a few disruptors. Again, because of time, we couldn't get so much into this area. But Jabba Juice again comes in here. And the reason why we are highlighting Jabba is last year, this product came in on the periphery. It was just a product that was somewhere hidden. But now this product has moved online. Besides coming up with the tea that we saw earlier, you can now get this product from your online stores. You can buy this product from your favorite food stores. All right. Then we have seen Murat's. Murat's is now going upstream. It's now being called a wine. It's now being exported. But besides that, it's still a favorite drink for communities, for events, for families. And why? Because people are looking for shared experiences. They're looking for indigenous products. They want something that their culture, but beyond that, they want to enjoy it together. Let's move on. Yes, how many have tried this product? Savannah. How is it? Excellent. Yes, right there. They've come into a very crowded space. What have they done? Brought in lower prices, better connections, extremely very good customer service. And it tells you it's never enough. There's still space. If you are engineers, if you come up with new ways of doing business. Let's move on. Good. Let's take a quick look at what's happening beyond our borders. Internationally, we've seen very unlikely collaborations. Can you imagine Heinz and Heineken coming up to pair up, coming up to create new conversations, coming up to expand their audiences, and eventually being very fresh in their spaces. This is what you're seeing. Let's move on. It happened at a small scale sometimes back. We saw KFC coming up with Safaricom. Sina do lakini naweza kuwekea kwa pochi yako, and it's some refreshment that we hope to keep seeing more and more of as we move on. Let's go on. Then we take a look at what we are referring to as content velocity. Businesses are now moving at the speed of their consumers. And I don't know how many of you are conversant with Nella Baby. Nella Baby was the talk of town a few weeks ago, and I think they still are. They one day released, I think, about 50, 60, 70 videos online. I mean, literally just clogging up that space. Why? Because they're looking for eyeballs. And now what that has done, it has now attracted more competition from other similar businesses. Remember last time we highlighted Shikoa High Style? Mnakumbuka? Yes, but now see, the bar is rising higher and higher up. So how are brands adapting to some of these changes that you're observing as we move along? Let's continue. Yes, here again, we see KFC coming up with very interesting communication on the outdoor space. And what we are highlighting here is relevance. This, Vavia to 20, this was a dad's, it's called what, Father's Day. Yes, it was Father's Day. And I know most of you must have seen it. This other one, Winter's Vote, this was a Mother's Day. I mean, how relevant can brands get? And they talk your language, it's street language, they're appealing to your culture, and they are making themselves relevant when the times are up. So we found this quite significant, and consumers are really gelling to some of these communications. Let's move on. Sunrise, again, try to jump on the bandwidth. With Enganya there, again, getting into relevance. We've not seen so much of this brand in the consumer space, but you can see them again, trying to jump onto that wave to be seen to be relevant and also appeal to the audiences that had not quite looked at them in the way that was street cultural relevance. Let's move on. Yes, have you seen this billboard? I don't need to talk much about it. From a very unlikely source. Kepro, who knows what Kepro does? Who even knows who these guys are? But they came up and they built up a billboard that is a talk of town. Let's move on. Again, I'm telling you that this space is not just for FMCGs. It is being taken by other players. So let's take a very quick look at what matters. Susan, I hope doing it on time. I'm trying. So first thing is financial literacy. Consumers are becoming very, very, very interested. I think it's because of the hard times, interesting times that we are all going through. There's a rising demand for financial education. We've seen street culture. I think every other week there is a bash at Nairobi Street Kitchen and other places. And then I just want to take a highlight on neurodivergency. We've seen consumers now who are crying for space, and brands must market the difference. Of course, we've seen the emerging health behavior in terms of health, and then local cultures being adopted across medium, across the living by the consumers. Let's move on. We'll take a second to look at some of the factors that could be affecting what's coming next. Please click up, please. Yeah, so we talked about micro communities last time, and we are seeing micro communities again taking a very center space. There's a pull towards communities, and these ones are coming up in our form, whether you're talking about culture, we are talking about consumers, we are talking about whatever space that we're looking at. So micro communities and brands really have to identify where these communities are moving and what kind of traits define. Let's move on. Yes, so again, we're seeing consumers are now banding together new codes of value. Value is becoming less and less about what you have, and more about experiences, about rituals, about deeper connections. So this tells you that with the evolvement of consumers, with the movement of consumers' tastes and preferences, then brands have come up and adopt to the new codes that I imagine around connection, human flourishing. Let's move on. Let's move on, please. Yes, spectator sports. We just finished the World Cup. One of the things that we saw is that the sports audience is becoming bigger, more diverse, and yes, more female. Yeah? Am I right with that? Are we right on that? We saw that. And for us, what caught us so much from the consumer point of view is that while every brand was trying to rush for eyeballs in the stadium on shirts and boards, Rexona sponsored the officials' armpit. I don't know whether you saw this. You saw this, huh? Yes. How ingenious could that have been? And consumers are watching, and they are calling a lot of these unique advertisements up when they get to see them. Let's move on. I think we've talked about culture. We've seen it in brand communication. We've seen it in the consumer's life. And the point here is that e-commerce has won on convenience, but consumers are moving back into the stores because they are looking for special experiences. So there's a shift there. There's a shift. All right, let's move on. Again, just a very quick look at the unlikely collaborations from the international angle. We've seen there Duolingo coming up with Uber. We've seen KitKat coming up with Red Bull. And it would really be interesting to see this happening at the local space. Can you remember sometimes last year, I think it was last year, there was this communication between GA Insurance and Safaricom. Mnakumbuka? Yes, can you imagine were to entertain us and come up with some of these collaborations? I think they would really refresh the space and also encourage others to come in as well. Okay, let's move on. Yes, political noise. Tunajua. We've started seeing Bazenga billboards. We've started seeing other billboards coming up. Brands, and I know the advertising agencies here, Havas is here, and I know there are others watching. There are probably others that haven't met here. So political noise is coming, and brands have to keep their relevance. It's going to happen both on the online space and the offline space. So it's around the corner, and it's real. Let's move on. Good. Then remember, sometimes 2024, we had influencers being put under pressure by their consumers because they needed to take socio-political stance. How shall that affect them now? Brands want to remain neutral. They want to stay out of controversy. So again, we expect to see quite some tension in this space. Let's move on. We have your algorithmic consumer. You guys, before you buy, you consult your AI. AI tells you do this, do that. Brands, marketers, we are not selling to the human being, we are selling to AI. All right? So it can only get higher and higher as you move along. Let's move on again. Yes, I think I spoke about neurodivergent audiences, and this is an area that consumers are now calling out.
Lifestyle, and there is an element of intentional living. That is the context in which we are living in. But then there's also the connection. How do you connect with this consumer who is having all these troubles? They have a lot of things to see in the media that is available to them. There is money to spend. There is digital, happening around them. How are they happy? What is happening? And I like what Francis has talked about communities, because it is also a thing that we are also, noticing. People are moving outside the normal advertising space to get more views out there, so that they are not limited to what they are being told. So for you to tell them, you have to link with the communities that they are speaking with. You have to link with their families so that you're able to adjust. Our survey covers 3,000 interviews, and it's of course telephonic. I remember what I told Susan the last time we were here was that this time was to come and present something to do with digital. It is still coming. We did a small sample of what we would call the passive measurement, and we indeed found that there is a lot of detail when it comes and when you think about the digital survey. So at this particular time, we are just on that phase of planning how to do a bigger one within Nairobi. And of course, the major thing that is, sort of hanging on us is the budget. Once the budget is cleared and you're engaging the industry, we should be able to do this. What we noted is that, yes, there is a lot of detail and depth that comes with the passive measurement, and that is something we need to tap to, even as a research agency. So next slide. When you think about consumers and the aspect of content, we know, and we're talking about the optimization of the spending culture and also the attention that you get from media. So we see it's not all about mass consumption, but the efficient consumption. People are very choosy in terms of what they are picking out, and this cuts across the budget and also the media that they are using, because there's too much out there and the money is getting constrained. So you have to make certain decisions. So it's not about, maybe panicking what to use or how much to, to spend on certain things or what media to use. There is a lot of choices, but then efficiency, comes in. One of the questions we're asking people is about, what they do when they're about to purchase. And one of the things that came in is that people are seriously considering and actually comparing prices, buying smaller packs, the Kodogo economy, creating budget, hold off purchases, switch brands, shop different stores because they realize, and this has been real from the communities and families that we engage, that people, different stores sell things differently. So those are real things that are happening to people. And when it comes to media again, you find things and media that is bringing in shorter content, like what you call the short video. You talk of Facebook, TikTok, YouTube shorts. They are growing, and you can see the data from July last year, and last year to this year, half one last year, half one this year. There is a gap. There's growth in TikTok. There's growth in YouTube, and this is all because of the change in people are selective. So short form video becomes then a natural choice, especially to the youthful and the digital communities. So industry performance overview, and just to emphasize on the issue of content, or rather the content aspect, is that indeed, even from the media expenditure view, we have seen a drop of expenditure. And how much people are spending on TV and radio and print is shrinking, but you find the highest shrink within the TV market. And it simply means that because we go to TV for impact, so for you to draw out on TV, it means there must be another level of impact we are seeking, or another platform, or that ideally should be digital. For radio, the decline is there, but not as huge, because there is an element of resilience within radio that is still very strong. When you think about agricultural societies, when you think about money economy out there, you still need radio. So radio is finding its space in that sense. The rural communities, the vernacular radio, strengthening those kind of spaces, and therefore advertising in radio still becomes extremely resilient. And for print, we continue seeing a point where print is almost at its foot in of understanding their niche, and therefore they don't change much. They don't get so much advertising value, but they also don't lose as much. So the key area here, as far as content is concerned, is what is happening between the consumer and the television. Those are the questions that we keep, pushing ourselves to understand. On the area of context, we say that affordability is actually reshaping daily life. We cannot ignore that fact that, there is a lot of pressure on the shilling, and therefore there are some questions, there are some concerns that people, are coming with. Cost of living, personal finance, and all these other aspects are things that are really pushing people to think about their lives in a holistic manner. There is lifestyle adjustment then that come as a result of that, and some of them, the way you do your budget, you have to readjust. Remember when the new taxation came, people had to decide, now that so much money is cut off, what am I going to give up? And those impacts are coming in our data. If you are traveling several times to your rural area, you have to adjust that. If you are buying data, you have to adjust that. I've noted a lot of people used to buy monthly data, probably they are now buying daily or as needs, on need basis. And those are real things, real concerns that are informing this kind of adjustments. The smartphone, we'll keep on talking about the smartphone because it is always central whenever you think about these things. We have seen the growth of digital, and you cannot fail to tie the digital growth to the growth in smartphone. So consumers then become more intentional on what they are using, where are they going, what media are they consuming. So online daily reach increased. If you look at quarter 2 2025 to quarter 2 2027, you can see online gently growing as we progress. That means more and more people accessing the online platform, and therefore on a daily basis, on a day-to-day basis, day part analysis becomes even more critical for online, because unlike radio, which is very strong in the morning, and TV, which is very strong in the evening, online cuts across. It forms a connection for radio in the morning and a connection for TV in the evening, and also gives you the highlights across the day for those who like digital news and all that. And all thanks to smartphone for that to happen. But then for them to work out, then there's the aspect of connection. And we are saying that social networks are becoming economic survival networks. So in our earlier, check about the communities and all that, you find as we get closer, probably as we get closer to the election time, you'll find issues of social unrest, inequality, are on top of mind. When people talk of geopolitics and this kind of time in Kenya and this particular season, it is going down. People are not really talking much about what is happening in Uganda, just in passing, or even in US, as much as we know a lot is happening out there in the world, because there is real pressure within that people, are concerned with, and they are, they want to look at. So it is only intentional that at the connection level, you have to dig deeper. You have to do, to recommend from peers. You have to get family networks to understand how brands are moving, which brand is selling better. You have to get community information. Whenever you are trying to shift into something, you need to understand how that one is coming and whether there is a better way. And therefore, that becomes in. And then, how does it then connect with media? That if you have to do advertisement, you have to think about that aspect of trust. How do you connect the consumer trust levels with what you are offering? So competitive advantage for brand is trust transmitted through people. So even as I advertise, I have first of all to talk to communities so that they can, stamp that trust. Then out of trust, people then will be able to connect to their brand properly. There's also the digital connection, of course, around social interaction. Look at, the platforms that we have seen that are being used for this kind of interaction, the WhatsApp, the Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all of them starting to grow because they are the primary digital, platforms through which this kind of connections are coming in with the family. And in conclusion, the deepest shift is not from TV to digital or even from inflation to affordability. So are we scared that TV is, people are moving from TV to digital? That is not even the big story. Or even inflation to affordability, so that then you buy what is available. You go to Kadogo economy. That may not be the everything. There are some things that are still giving us a lot of hope. What we would consider as a hidden story. We know that some of the brands that, push the economy, when people are buying appliances, electronics, renovations, you can see they are still willing. Significant numbers, 1 out of 5 are still willing to purchase those things. Basically, what people have done is to shift, to say, I'll buy it later. Something that would have done within 6 months, you have to consider buying maybe in a year or so. So that is a real thing that is happening. You postpone the purchase. So whatever you aspire to have, you still desire. Desire is not going anywhere. Cash flow is still the problem. You are constrained, of cash flow. So when you want a better home or technology or even, convenience, lifestyle improvements, those things are still there. The aspirations to have those things are there. The money then becomes the issue. So that if money were to flow, things will still, be able to push back to the same. So it is a shift from passive consumption to active management of life. So I just don't want to know something that exists and I want to buy it. I have to make some deliberate considerations. I have to look at media and see which media or which platforms can be able to give me a clearer picture of this product. Are there better stores for me? Are there better opportunities for me to use money? So actively managing your money, the attention, who is talking to you, whom do you want to talk to? Because consumer now is in control. If I don't want to watch your content, I simply switch on to something else. There's too much out there. Their relationships, they have to decide. They have to decide on what information sources they have to rely on, and of course their future aspirations. So all that is in the the part of the consumer, managing them in, and therefore being able to to control their story. And that is the end. I hope I've spent less than 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barnaba. Yeah, you've done very well. 15 minutes on the clock. We were talking outside earlier, and Francis was saying, but your slides, Kwangana graphs and charts. But I think there's a lot of insights to pick, like the management of our lifestyle, and that's where brands should play at. And just even as we continue, as I look at your questions, there's an interesting question you need to think about. Will AI replace influencers? I've just seen that question, so as you think about that. I'd like to introduce our next speaker. This is Haron Mushai, someone who is also not very, not a stranger to us. So just to introduce him, he's in the media strategy and research professional with over 15 years of experience in media intelligence and consulting. He specializes in translating media data into insights and strategic decisions that help brands navigate an evolving media landscape. He is currently part of the Real Analytics team, where he works as media strategy, research, and consulting. Karibu sana, Haron. Happy to hear from you. That's my clap, ama tuweke makofi ya nyayo. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Susan, for that very sweet introduction. And thank you, Susan, from ISA for always having us in this forum to go through this data periodically. Yeah, so I think Muya has touched a bit on what happened in terms of media spending, but I think our presentation really dives deeper into that. So we are going to look at the trends in terms of what people are doing, which industries are really heavy in the media. We also have some digital trends on what's happening, at least for the first half. So if you could move to the next slide, Victor, so that we move through quickly. Yeah, so the first thing I want us to look at is the media access currently, and this is the data from the Communications Authority, their latest survey. It's still very highly fragmented. You can see broadcast media is still leading, radio and TV at over 70% of access. Internet slowly catching up now at 57%. Newspaper and magazine, of course, are still struggling. But what is important with these statistics is to just look at the numbers and see how fragmented media is. If you look at these percentages, what you realize is that these will add up to more than 200%, which implies that each and every person that was surveyed in this particular study has access to more than one media, probably 2 to 3. So they do radio, they do TV, they probably do internet over the past 7 days, because that is how media research is done. Victor, next slide, please. All right. So looking at how the spends looked like in the first half, and I think this is the most, eye-catching slides among the people in this forum, is how the trends have been moving all along in terms of half year. You can see the declines from the first half of 2023 to this particular half. Barnabas, I think, also reported a decline of about 25% there, about overly on both. And just to mention, this is just for mainstream media, that is radio, TV, and print. However, it's normal in the first half. Even if you look at the trends, we normally experience this small dip in the first half, and then spends actually starts rising in the second half, whereby budgets are more clear. People are moving into the second half, looking to close the year in high. Yeah, so of course, there's a bit of a cautious advertising currently for the past 2 to 3 years. Guys not really sure of the economic environment, and that is what is leading to this drop in media spend across the years. Next slide, Victor. So if you dive into the industries themselves, this is how the data looks like. The banking sector, media sector, betting and gambling. Sorry, there is some distortion in these slides. Communication is in there, foods and personal care are the leading industries. So you can see that the advertising space is also very concentrated. We don't have one single industry really commanding a lot of, media activity, but you can see guys are still doing some media advertising across all sectors. And of course, banking having the highest chunk. In about 2 to 3 years ago, betting used to be really big. But because of the regulations, the government restrictions on that particular industry, it has been slowly declining. the first half year of 2026, they had around 8%. So banking is big, media is big, and of course, banking, there is a lot of competition in there in terms of, being able to promote the various banking products. That's why you see them, of course, wanting to be always on. Next slide, Victor. Anyway, these are the top spenders, the companies that were really heavy in mainstream media advertising in the first half of 2026. MultiChoice was big, doing their, I think they had promotions on the World Cup. They've been having challenges in terms of subscription acquisition, so they had a few campaigns on trying to acquire new subscribers, especially for DSTV. So they were quite heavy in that period, both DSTV, GoTV, and also the FIFA World Cup. Then we have KCB also doing a lot. I think their biggest campaign was one of their accounts, their goal savings account. And then we have StarTimes. So a lot of guys in the media sector, Royal Media are the owners of this new taxi hailing app called WeGo. And that was really what drove their spends. Then you see some guys in personal care, the banks again, and Safaricom, of course, the biggest telecommunication company in Kenya, doing a lot. So a lot of brands in banking, in comms, and also in personal care. Next slide. Actually, here we have the campaigns themselves. Again, also related to what we have on that particular previous slide. KCB Gold Savings Account, StarTimes Decoder. In betting, we largely had 1xBet. But then again, we also had activities from the likes of SportPesa, from Shabiki, and those other betting apps. Betika is also there, I think, among the betting slides. Next slide. So the channels that guys are using to advertise, here's how they rank, and I wouldn't want you to relate these to effectiveness. This is basically from our data, how many ads actually ran on all of these different channels, and these are just the top ones. So if you look at radio, for instance, using Kameme FM, a lot of focus on the regional media stations. So that means, as one of the panelists here said, then radio is still relevant in trying to reach the niche markets. If you want precision to reach guys in the mashinani areas, then these radio stations are very effective, and that's why you're seeing the likes of Kameme leading there, Kas FM, Y2 FM. I think actually most of the top ones are from the regional stations, but you can see the national ones also doing quite well. In terms of TV, Citizen is undoubtedly almost always at the top in terms of the volume of ads, NTV, TV47 in that manner. And then in radio, on print, we have Daily Nation, MyGov, The Standard, The Star, the major dailies actually having the most advertising activities. Next slide. So drilling down into the various media platforms themselves and what different people are doing there. Radio, you see a lot of guys in banking, agriculture, and communications. And most of these campaigns will be, they're very niche campaigns, they're very regional campaigns, especially if you look at the agriculture industry, guys advertising fertilizers, all of those agricultural products, farm inputs. If you look at banking, then banking, accounts opening campaigns, those type of campaigns, they're very prominent on radio. And again, as Barnabas also elaborated, we also saw a drop from half on half in 2026, half one 2026. But then again, if you compare that to the first half of 2025, there's a slight growth. So it's you can't really call it an absolute collapse of the advertising on this particular platform, but rather the dynamic, the calendar dynamic in terms of half year one and half year two. If you look at TV, then the media sector, of course, there's a lot of self-branding in this particular industry. Citizen TV, StarTimes, all of these multi-choice products branding themselves. So it's normal for them to be leading on TV. And of course, us will pick any advert, irrespective of whether it's paid for or not. then also banking, personal care, because of the visual effect, also doing a lot on TV. Advertising on print, I think this has been resilient. And what you will see here is mainly the state institutions, the state bodies, and of course companies that want, a credible communication channel to put on print media. So advertising on this particular platform is quite a bit standard. As much as the readership is shrinking, you find that they still have some advertising activity. Some of it may be because these bodies are actually required to do so. If you are publishing your financial results, then you have to do it on a credible platform like print media. So as long as the audiences are going down in this platform, you'll still find them having relatively substantial advertising. Next slide. Next slide, please. So we also look at out of home. We also track what's happening on the billboards. And I was happy when Francis actually brought out some of these creativity that is emerging on out of home. Unlike traditional media, out of home has been growing over the past, probably since we started tracking. We haven't really seen a drop. There are some dynamics in terms of half year spends. Again, as we have seen on TV, it tends to drop in the first half, but gradually rises in the second half. And we actually expect these to grow a lot. I think Ashagwa said Bazenga has been on the billboards for the past 1 year, and we are not yet into the campaign periods. So you'll see a lot of these guys doing a lot of billboards in the near future. Next slide. So beverages command the biggest chunk of advertising in outdoor, mainly led by EABL. EABL individually, I think commands about 7% of overall advertising on outdoor platforms. Of course, they have restrictions in terms of what are shared on radio and TV. So this becomes one of their alternative platforms to be able to push their campaigns. The foods categories, KFC, and we saw some examples here of some billboards that they have actually put up. They are very big on outdoor. So the foods industry, the beverages industry, shopping. And the good thing with out of home is it's very effective in terms of proximity to consumption. Yeah. So if you have a KFC store somewhere, then you'll find them almost definitely putting up a billboard there and running any promotions that they may be having, so that when you go into the food store, you have an idea of what's being run. Yeah, so I think this year we tried to relate what's happening on the mainstream media with what's happening in digital. And it's important for me to mention that this is data from the Communications Authority also. In their quarterly report, they normally release a quarterly report on media consumption. It's not very clear in terms of the methodology of how this digital spend is collected. I would presume that probably because they have a regulatory authority, they have some returns. At least that is how they do for the telecommunications providers. They get some returns in terms of how these guys, the revenues these guys are getting from this particular market. And for them, we don't have complete half-year data, but we have data from July 2025 to March 2026. In the latest month, we have data for that is March 26. About 2.69 billion was spent on digital media in this market. And what we try to do is try to correlate the period that we have complete data for, that is the second half of last year, and try to see what digital and spends on other platforms actually look like in terms of share. And you can see TV at 37.5%, digital at about 30% or so, radio at 25%. So what this tells us is the importance of digital in terms of being able to supplement or complement these other media platforms. It's slowly gaining traction, almost similar spending levels as what we have on TV. Yeah, despite having a lower access, as we saw in the initial slides, compared to TV and radio. So it's really coming up as a competitive platform to be able to push your content. So then, I think finally we have we have some key takeaways that we can try and you can try and take away from these particular slides in going into 2026, in H2 2026. Next slide. Yeah, so from our projections, you can see that, and this is still on mainstream media only, we are still expecting, a sort of shifty growth in spends, because in half two, we anticipate a slight growth of about 30 to about 32.8 billion from 29 billion. So about a 2%, an 11% growth in the second half. But then again, going into 2027, a further dip before we go into the elections. But then again, we have so many dynamics. My fellow panelists here talk about the elections. It's quite unpredictable. You find some governments really start pushing their own campaigns, you have live coverages. Most brands don't have enough space for pushing their content. Some of them actually shy away because of the political noise, because their messaging will not actually be heard that it's supposed to be heard with all of that political content. Next slide. So in overall, advertising activity really slowed, but the market still remains above the same period comparatively last year. Banking is leading for the media houses in here. These are some of the guys who we don't expect to really sort of go offline or really go digital completely. Banking sectors, agriculture, betting and gambling, communication. These are still relevant industries for mainstream media. TV, of course, remains the single largest advertising platform with a threat from digital, as we've seen in there. OH premium inventory will see increased competition. I think as at June, we had about 70% occupancy because we track all of these billboards across the country every month. But we anticipate that will actually go up. So if you have premium inventory, then that will see increased demand. The politicians will also lock some of these assets for longer time. So if brands can be able to act in good time and be able to secure the best spots in good time, then that would be an advantage for them. Next slide. Yeah, and then radio's real strength is not simply reach. It's quite important to be able to reach the niche audiences, especially for various sectors. 2027 election dynamics. We've talked about how that is likely to affect the media spaces. And then we have print that is still showing resilience for state bodies and for those guys who actually need to, put out notices and those type of adverts on print media. So that's all we had. We'll get questions later. Okay, thanks.